The sound of shattering glass jolted me from my sleep. My heart raced as I sat up, disoriented in the darkness. Ethan's side of the bed was empty, the sheets cold. Where was he? I fumbled for my phone, squinting at the bright screen. 3:17 a.m. This wasn't like him at all. "Ethan?" I called out, my voice echoing through our silent house. No response. Slipping on my robe, I crept downstairs, following the faint glow from the kitchen. As I approached, I heard hushed voices. Ethan's and a woman's? I peered around the corner, my breath catching in my throat. There was Ethan, hunched over the kitchen island, head in his hands. Across from him stood a woman I hadn't seen in years but would recognize anywhere. Jennifer, his estranged sister. "You can't keep doing this, Jen," Ethan was saying, his voice strained. Charlotte and I agreed. "Oh, spare me the lecture, big brother," Jennifer snapped. "You know I wouldn't be here if I had any other choice." I stepped into the kitchen, unable to contain myself any longer. "What's going on here?" They both whirled to face me, guilt written all over Ethan's face. Jennifer, on the other hand, looked triumphant. Well, she drawled. "If it isn't the lovely Charlotte, did we wake you?" "Cut the crap, Jennifer," I snapped. "What are you doing in my house at 3 a.m? Ethan stepped between us, hands raised placatingly. "Char, I can explain." "You'd better," I said, crossing my arms. "Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've been lying to me." Jennifer let out a harsh laugh. "Oh, he's been lying all right. For months now, sending me money, helping me out, all behind your back." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. "Is that true?" I asked Ethan, willing him to deny it. He couldn't meet my eyes. I didn't know how to tell you. After everything that happened last time... "Last time?" I exploded. "Last time she nearly ruined us, Ethan. We agreed to cut her off. You promised me." I know, he said, reaching for me. I jerked away. "But she needed help, Char. She's my sister." "And I'm your wife," I shouted, tears pricking at my eyes. "How could you do this to me? To us?" Jennifer smirked, clearly enjoying the drama. "Face it, Charlotte. Blood is thicker than water. Ethan will always choose me over you." "That's enough," Ethan roared, rounding on his sister. "You need to leave now." "Fine," Jennifer shrugged, sauntering towards the door. "But this isn't over, big brother. You owe me." The door slammed behind her, leaving Ethan and me in a deafening silence. "Charlotte," he began, his voice pleading. "I'm so sorry. I should have told you." "How long?" I interrupted, my voice barely above a whisper. He hesitated. 6 months. The betrayal hit me like a physical blow. 6 months of lies, 6 months of sneaking around behind my back, 6 months of choosing her over me. "I trusted you," I said, my voice breaking. "After everything we've been through, I thought we were past this." "We are," Ethan insisted, reaching for me again. This time, I let him take my hands. "Charlotte, I love you. You're my wife, my partner. Jennifer, she's just my sister. She needed help, and I couldn't turn my back on her. But you're the one I choose. Always." I wanted to believe him. God, how I wanted to. But the seed of doubt had been planted, and I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of our troubles. "I need some time," I said, pulling away from him. I can't process this right now." As I turned to leave the kitchen, Ethan called out, "Where are you going?" I paused in the doorway, not looking back. "To pack a bag. I'm staying at Olivia's tonight. Don't try to stop me." With that, I climbed the stairs, my mind reeling. How had my life turned upside down so quickly? And more importantly, how was I going to fix it? I stared at my phone, thumb hovering over Ethan's name. 3 days of silence stretched between us like an abyss. Part of me wanted to hurl the device across Olivia's guest room, but I forced myself to hit call instead. He answered on the first ring. "Charlotte? Are you okay?" "We need to talk," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "Meet me at Rosie's Diner in an hour." The bell above the door chimed as Ethan walked in, looking like he hadn't slept in days. Good. At least I wasn't the only one suffering. "Thanks for coming," I said as he slid into the booth across from me. "Of course," he replied, fidgeting with a napkin. "Char, I'm so sorry." I held up a hand. "I didn't ask you here for apologies. I want answers. Why, Ethan? After everything Jennifer's put us through, why would you risk our marriage for her?" He sighed, shoulders slumping. "She's changed, Charlotte. She's been through some rough times, and she's really trying to turn her life around," I scoffed. "And you believe her? After all the lies?" "I do," he said, meeting my eyes. She's been sober for 8 months. She's holding down a job. And she's been seeing a therapist. That caught me off guard. A therapist? Ethan nodded. She was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. It explains a lot of her past behavior. She's on medication now, and it's making a real difference. I felt my resolve wavering. If Jennifer was genuinely trying to get help, why didn't you tell me? I asked, my voice softer now. I wanted to, Ethan said, reaching across the table. This time I let him take my hand. But I was afraid you wouldn't believe her, that you'd think it was just another manipulation. Can you blame me? I asked, pulling my hand away. After what happened last time? Ethan winced. I know, but she's my sister, Char. I couldn't turn my back on her when she was finally asking for help. And just then, the waitress appeared with our usual orders. As she set down my coffee, I caught a glimpse of her name tag, Jennifer. My stomach churned. You still should have told me, I said, pushing the mug away. We're supposed to be partners, Ethan. No secrets. You're right, he admitted. I screwed up, but I want to make it right. What can I do? I took a deep breath. I want to meet with Jennifer, see this change for myself. Ethan's eyes widened. Are you sure? I don't want to put you in an uncomfortable position. I'm sure, I said, even as doubt gnawed at me. It's the only way I'll know if I can trust either of you again. He nodded slowly. Okay, I'll set it up. As we left the diner, Ethan reached for my hand. I let him take it, but the gesture felt hollow. Trust, once broken, was not easily mended. The next evening, I found myself standing outside Jennifer's apartment, my heart pounding. Ethan squeezed my hand reassuringly as he knocked. The door swung open, revealing a woman I barely recognized. Gone was the wild-eyed, disheveled Jennifer of old. This woman looked put together. Calm. Charlotte, she said, her voice lacking its usual edge. I'm so glad you came. Please, come in. As we stepped inside, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was walking into the lion's den, but I had to know the truth. Jennifer gestured to the couch. Can I get you anything? Water? Tea? No, thank you, I said stiffly. I think we should just talk. She nodded, settling into an armchair across from us. I owe you an apology, Charlotte. My behavior has been inexcusable, and I'm truly sorry for all the pain I've caused you and Ethan. I studied her face, searching for signs of deception. Ethan tells me you've been getting help. Yes, Jennifer said, her eyes dropping to her hands. I should have done it years ago, but I was too proud, too scared to admit I needed help. As she spoke about her diagnosis, her treatment, I felt my anger slowly giving way to something else. Understanding, pity, I wasn't sure. But just as I was starting to relax, Jennifer's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, her face paling. Everything okay? Ethan asked, concern etching his features. Fine, Jennifer said quickly, too quickly. It's nothing. But I saw the panic in her eyes, the slight tremor in her hands as she set the phone down, and in that moment, I knew. She was lying. Again. The annual Thompson family barbecue was in full swing, but I couldn't shake the unease that had settled over me since our meeting with Jennifer. Ethan's hand on my lower back felt more like a restraint than comfort as we navigated through clusters of relatives. Charlotte, dear. Ethan's mother, Margaret, swooped in for a hug. We've missed you. How are you holding up? I forced a smile. I'm fine, Margaret. Just been busy with work. She patted my cheek. Well, we're all so glad you two worked things out. Family is everything, after all. As if summoned by those words, Jennifer appeared, all smiles and charm. Charlotte, I'm so happy you could make it. I tensed, remembering the panic in her eyes at her apartment. Jennifer, how nice to see you. Oh, come now, she laughed, linking her arm through mine. Be strangers. We're practically sisters. Before I could protest, she was steering me away from Ethan, towards a group of cousins I barely knew. As we walked, she leaned in close. I know you don't trust me, she whispered, her breath hot on my ear. But you should be careful. There are things about you Ethan doesn't know, things I could tell him. I jerked away, heart pounding. What are you talking about? Jennifer's smile was razor sharp. Oh, you know, your little indiscretion last year when you thought Ethan was cheating? The world tilted sideways. How could she possibly know about that? I don't know what you're talking about, I managed, but my voice shook. Don't you? Jennifer's eyes glittered. That handsome client of yours, Robert, was it? I'm sure Ethan would be fascinated to hear all about your late-night meetings. Nothing happened, I hissed, even as shame burned through me. It was true. Nothing had happened. But I'd been tempted. God help me, I'd been tempted. Maybe not, Jennifer shrugged. But how do you think it would look to Ethan, to everyone here? I glanced around wildly, suddenly aware of how many eyes were on us. Ethan was watching from across the yard, brow furrowed in concern. What do you want? I asked, defeat heavy in my chest. Jennifer's smile widened. Oh, nothing much, just your support. When I tell Ethan I need a place to stay for a while. Absolutely not, I snapped, finding my backbone. I won't let you manipulate us anymore. Then I guess I'll just have to share what I know, Jennifer said, raising her voice. Hey, everyone, I have an announcement to make. Panic clawed at my throat. Jennifer, don't, but it was too late. She was already clinking her glass, drawing everyone's attention. I just wanted to say how grateful I am to be here, Jennifer began, her voice syrupy sweet, and how thankful I am to Ethan and Charlotte for their support during my recovery. I held my breath, waiting for the other shoe to drop. In fact, she continued, I have some exciting news. I'm pregnant. The crowd erupted in cheers and congratulations. I stood frozen, unable to process what was happening. Ethan pushed through the crowd, his face a mask of shock. Jen, what? How? Jennifer's eyes locked on mine, triumph blazing in them. Oh, it's such a blessing, and I'm so glad I'll have family to help me through it. You'll let me stay with you, won't you, big brother? The silence that fell was deafening. All eyes turned to Ethan, then to me. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. This couldn't be happening. Ethan reached for my hand. Char, I jerked away, bile rising in my throat. Don't touch me. And then I was running, pushing past concerned relatives, ignoring the calls of my name. I didn't stop until I reached my car, fumbling with the keys as tears blurred my vision. As I peeled out of the driveway, one thought pounded through my head. This was it. The final straw. My marriage was over. The cardboard box felt heavier than it should as I packed the last of my belongings. 2 weeks had passed since the disastrous family barbecue, and I still couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal that clung to me like a second skin. Are you sure about this, Charlotte? Olivia asked, hovering in the doorway of what used to be my bedroom. I nodded, not trusting my voice. The truth was, I wasn't sure of anything anymore. But I knew I couldn't stay in this house, surrounded by memories of a life that now felt like a lie. As if on cue, Ethan's voice drifted up from downstairs. Char, can we talk? I closed my eyes, steeling myself. I'll be down in a minute, I called back, my voice steadier than I felt. Olivia squeezed my arm. I'll wait in the car. Take your time. I found Ethan in the kitchen, looking lost among the half-packed boxes. The sight of him still made my heart ache, despite everything. So, this is really happening, he said, gesturing to the chaos around us. It is, I replied, keeping my distance. I think we both know it's for the best. Ethan's shoulders slumped. I never wanted this, Charlotte. I love you. We can still fix this. I shook my head, feeling the familiar sting of tears. Can we? After everything that's happened, Jennifer's pregnant, Ethan. And you chose her. Again. I didn't choose her over you, he protested. I'm just trying to help my sister. At what cost? I asked, my voice rising. Our marriage? My trust? When does it end? Before he could answer, a sharp pain lanced through my abdomen. I gasped, doubling over. Charlotte! Ethan was at my side in an instant, his arm around my waist. What's wrong? I don't know, I managed through gritted teeth. It hurts. The world tilted, and suddenly I was on the floor, Ethan's panicked face swimming above me. I heard him calling for Olivia, felt hands lifting me, but it all seemed far away. The next thing I knew, I was in a hospital bed, the steady beep of monitors filling the air. Olivia sat beside me, her face drawn with worry. What happened? I croaked, my throat dry. Olivia's eyes filled with tears. Oh, honey, you collapsed. The doctors say it was a combination of stress and exhaustion. Your body just shut down. I closed my eyes, letting the information sink in. Where's Ethan? He's outside. He's been here the whole time, pacing like a caged animal. Do you want me to get him? Part of me wanted to say no, to shut him out completely, but a larger part, the part that still loved him despite everything, needed to see him. I nodded, and moments later, Ethan was by my side, his eyes red-rimmed and worried. Char, he breathed, taking my hand. I was so scared, I thought I might lose you. You can't lose what you've already thrown away, I said, but there was no bite to my words, just exhaustion. Ethan's face crumpled. I know I've messed up, but seeing you like this, it's made me realize what really matters. You're everything to me, Charlotte. Please, give me one more chance. I'll do whatever it takes. I wanted to believe him. God, how I wanted to. But the memory of Jennifer's smug face, of Ethan's repeated betrayals, held me back. I can't do this anymore, Ethan, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. The stress, the lies, it's killing me. Literally. He nodded, tears spilling down his cheeks. I understand, but I'm not giving up on us, Charlotte. I'll prove to you that you can trust me again, whatever it takes. As he spoke, a nurse entered, clipboard in hand. Mrs. Thompson? We have your test results. I braced myself, expecting the worst, but nothing could have prepared me for her next words. Congratulations, she said with a smile. You're pregnant. The world stopped. I looked at Ethan, saw my own shock mirrored in his eyes. In that moment, I knew everything was about to change. Again, I stared at the pregnancy test in my hands, the 2 pink lines mocking me. It had been a week since the hospital, and I still couldn't wrap my head around it. Pregnant, with everything going on, how could this be happening? A knock on the bathroom door startled me. Charlotte? Olivia's voice called. You okay in there? I opened the door, wordlessly holding out the test. Olivia's eyes widened. Oh, honey, she breathed, pulling me into a hug. What are you going to do? That was the million-dollar question, wasn't it? I pulled away, sinking onto the edge of the bathtub. I don't know, I admitted. I mean, Ethan and I were barely speaking, and with Jennifer's pregnancy. Olivia sat beside me, her face serious. Charlotte, I know things are complicated, but maybe this is a sign, a chance to start fresh, I scoffed. A fresh start? With all this baggage? Listen to me, Olivia said, grabbing my hands. You love Ethan. Despite everything, I know you do. And he loves you. Maybe it's time to lay all the cards on the table. Really talk things through. I wanted to argue, to list all the reasons why that was a terrible idea. But a small part of me, the part that still clung to hope, whispered that maybe she was right. Okay, I said finally. I'll talk to him, but I'm not promising anything. An hour later, I found myself sitting across from Ethan at our favorite coffee shop. The familiar setting felt strange now, like a relic from another life. Thanks for meeting me, I said, fidgeting with my cup. Ethan nodded, his eyes searching my face. Of course, Charlotte, I'm pregnant, I blurted out, unable to hold it in any longer. Ethan's jaw dropped. For a moment he just stared at me, shock written all over his face. Then, slowly, a smile spread across his features. We're having a baby? He whispered, reaching for my hand. I pulled back, shaking my head. Ethan, this doesn't change anything. We still have a lot to work through. His smile faltered. I know. But Charlotte, this is incredible news. We're going to be parents. So is Jennifer, I reminded him, the words tasting bitter on my tongue. Ethan's face fell. About that, there's something you should know. My heart clenched. What now? He took a deep breath. Jennifer, she's not really pregnant. It was all a lie. To manipulate us. I found out yesterday. The world tilted on its axis. What? I gasped. Why would she do that? She's sick, Charlotte, Ethan said, his voice heavy with regret. She's off her meds, has been for months. I've arranged for her to get help, real help this time, in a facility where she can't hurt anyone else. I sat back, stunned. All this time, all the pain and betrayal, for a lie? I'm so sorry, Ethan continued, his eyes pleading. I should have seen through her act. I should have trusted you. Can you ever forgive me? I looked at him, really looked at him. The man I'd fallen in love with, the man I'd built a life with. He'd made mistakes, huge ones. But hadn't I too? I don't know, I said honestly, but I think I want to try. Relief washed over Ethan's face. He reached for my hand again, and this time I let him take it. We have a lot to work on, I warned. Trust to rebuild, it won't be easy. I know, he nodded, but you and our baby, you're worth fighting for. I'll do whatever it takes, Charlotte, I promise. As I sat there, Ethan's hand warm in mine, I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, we could find our way back to each other, for ourselves and for the little life growing inside me. Okay, I said softly, let's go home. And with that decision, I took the first step on a new, uncertain path, one that I hoped would lead us back to the love we once shared, stronger and wiser than before. The soft glow of candlelight flickered across Ethan's face as we finished our dinner. 3 months had passed since our reconciliation, and tonight marked a milestone, our first home-cooked meal together, since I'd moved back in. "This is nice," I said, reaching for his hand across the table. Ethan smiled, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. "It is. How are you feeling? Any morning sickness today?" I shook my head, unconsciously resting a hand on my slightly swollen belly. "Not today, but Ethan, is everything okay? You seem distracted." He hesitated, then sighed. "I'm sorry, Char. Work's been crazy lately. There's this big project, and The shrill ring of his phone cut him off. Ethan glanced at the screen, his face tightening. "I have to take this," he said, standing abruptly. "I'll be right back." As he hurried from the room, a familiar unease settled in my stomach. I'd seen this behavior before, when he was hiding Jennifer's involvement in our lives. Against my better judgment, I followed him, pausing outside his study door. "I told you not to call me at home," Ethan was saying, his voice low and urgent. "No, I can't meet you tonight. Charlotte's suspicious enough as it is." My heart pounded. Who was he talking to? What was he hiding now? "Look, I'll figure something out," Ethan continued. Just give me a few more days. I promise I'll make it right." I stumbled back, my mind reeling. After everything we'd been through, after all his promises, was he lying to me again? When Ethan returned to the dining room, I was waiting, arms crossed. "Who was that?" I asked, fighting to keep my voice steady. He blinked, caught off guard. "Oh, just work stuff. Nothing important." "Don't lie to me, Ethan," I snapped, my composure cracking. "I heard you. Who can't you meet tonight? What are you trying to make right?" Ethan's face paled. "Charlotte, I can explain." "Then explain," I shouted, tears burning my eyes, "because from where I'm standing it looks like you're betraying me all over again." He reached for me, but I jerked away. "It's not what you think," he pleaded. "I swear I'm not cheating on you." "Then what is it?" I demanded. "Because I can't do this again, Ethan. I won't." He ran a hand through his hair, visibly struggling. It's Jennifer." The world tilted sideways. "Jennifer? I thought she was in a facility. Getting help." "She was," Ethan said, his voice barely above a whisper. "But she checked herself out last week. She's been calling me, begging for money. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut." "And you've been giving it to her? After everything?" "I didn't want to stress you out," he said, about reaching for me again. "With the baby and us trying to rebuild, I thought I could handle it on my own." I stepped back, shaking my head. "You promised me, Ethan. No more secrets, no more lies." "I know," he said, his voice breaking. "I'm so sorry, Charlotte. I was trying to protect you." "By lying to me?" I laughed bitterly. "How's that working out?" Before he could respond, a sharp pain lanced through my abdomen. I gasped, doubling over. "Charlotte!" Ethan cried, rushing to my side. "What's wrong?" "I don't know," I panted, fear clawing at my throat. "Something's not right." As Ethan helped me to the couch, another wave of pain hit. I looked down in horror to see a small spot of blood on my pants. "Oh, God," I whispered, meeting Ethan's panicked gaze, "the baby." In that moment, everything else fell away. The lies, the betrayal, even Jennifer. None of it mattered. All I could think about was the precious life inside me and the terrifying possibility that I might lose it. As Ethan called for an ambulance, I closed my eyes, silently praying. "Please, let our baby be okay. Please don't let this be the price of our mistakes." But as another cramp seized me, I couldn't shake the feeling that our fragile attempt at reconciliation was crumbling around us, taking our dreams of a family with it. The sterile hospital walls seemed to close in on me as I waited for news about my baby. The last few hours had been a blur of pain, fear, and frantic medical activity. Now, in the eerie quiet of the recovery room, I was left alone with my thoughts and the steady beep of monitors. Ethan burst through the door, his face etched with worry. "Charlotte, I'm so sorry. I got here as fast as I could. How are you?" "The baby?" I turned away, unable to look at him. "The baby's fine," I said, my voice hollow. "Just a scare. The doctor says I need to rest and avoid stress." Ethan's relief was palpable. "Thank God," he breathed, reaching for my hand. I pulled away. "Don't," I said, finally meeting his eyes. "I can't do this anymore, Ethan. The lies, the secrets. It's killing me. And now it almost cost us our child." His face crumpled. "Charlotte, please, I know I messed up, but I swear I'll make it right. No more secrets." I laughed bitterly. "You said that before. How can I ever trust you again?" Before he could respond, a commotion in the hallway caught our attention. A familiar voice, shrill and angry, echoed through the corridor. "I need to see my brother. You can't keep me out." My blood ran cold. Jennifer, Ethan paled. I'll handle this, he said, moving towards the door. No, I said, struggling to sit up. I want to hear what she has to say. Jennifer burst into the room, her eyes wild. When she saw me, she sneered. Well, if it isn't the happy couple. Jennifer, you need to leave, Ethan said, stepping between us. She ignored him, focusing on me. Did he tell you about the baby? My heart stopped. What are you talking about? Jennifer's laugh was cruel. Oh, this is Rich. He didn't tell you, did he? I'm pregnant, Charlotte. And guess who the father is? The world tilted sideways. I looked at Ethan, silently begging him to deny it, but the guilt in his eyes said everything. No, I whispered, feeling like I might be sick. Tell me it's not true. Ethan reached for me, his voice breaking. Charlotte, I'm so sorry. It was a mistake. I was drunk, and Jennifer, she took advantage. Took advantage? Jennifer screeched. You came to me, Ethan. You were the one who said you were unhappy, that Charlotte didn't understand you. I closed my eyes, willing this nightmare to end. But when I opened them, nothing had changed. My husband, the father of my child, had betrayed me in the worst possible way. Get out, I said, my voice deadly calm. Both of you, get out of my sight. Charlotte, please, Ethan begged. Let me explain. There's nothing to explain, I shouted, tears streaming down my face. You slept with your sister. You got her pregnant. While I was at home, carrying your child, trying to rebuild our marriage. Jennifer smirked, one hand resting on her belly. Face it, Charlotte. You've lost. Ethan will always choose family over you. Something inside me snapped. With strength I didn't know I possessed, I lunged out of the bed, grabbing Jennifer by the collar. You are not his family, I hissed. You're a cancer, destroying everything you touch. Ethan pulled me back, his face a mask of shock. Charlotte, stop! Think of the baby. His words were like a bucket of ice water. I stumbled back, suddenly aware of the monitors beeping frantically around me. As nurses rushed in, alerted by the commotion, I locked eyes with Ethan one last time. We're done, I said, my voice breaking. I want a divorce. The last thing I saw before the sedative took hold was Ethan's devastated face and Jennifer's triumphant smirk. As darkness claimed me, one thought echoed through my mind. How had my life come to this? And more importantly, how was I going to pick up the pieces? 6 months after leaving Ethan, I stood in front of the mirror, barely recognizing the woman staring back at me. My hand rested on my now prominent baby bump, a bittersweet reminder of the life I was building. Alone, but stronger than ever. The doorbell rang, jolting me from my reverie. Olivia's voice called out, Charlotte, you ready? I took a deep breath, steeling myself. Today was the day I'd face Ethan for the first time since the hospital, the final divorce hearing. As we drove to the courthouse, Olivia squeezed my hand. You've got this, Char. Remember how far you've come. She was right. In the past months, I'd thrown myself into creating a new life. Our online business was thriving, giving me a sense of purpose and financial independence I'd never known. But more importantly, I'd rediscovered myself, the strong, resilient woman I'd lost somewhere along the way. The courthouse loomed before us, a monument to endings and beginnings. As we climbed the steps, I spotted Ethan waiting by the entrance. My heart clenched, but not with longing, with pity. He looked terrible, his once crisp suit hanging loosely on his frame, dark circles under his eyes. When he saw me, his face crumpled. Charlotte, he breathed, reaching for me. I stepped back. Don't, I said, my voice steady. Let's just get this over with. Inside, as our lawyers finalized the paperwork, Ethan leaned towards me. I lost my job, he whispered. The stress. I made some mistakes at work, big ones. I nodded, unsurprised. And Jennifer? His face darkened. Gone, if she lost the baby, if there ever was one. Turns out it was all a lie to manipulate me. A part of me wanted to feel vindicated, but mostly, I just felt sad. I'm sorry, Ethan, for all of it. He looked at me, eyes brimming with regret. I ruined everything, didn't I? Us, the life we built. I threw it all away. We both made mistakes, I said softly. But yes, you did, and now we both have to live with the consequences. As I signed the final document, a weight lifted from my shoulders. It was done. I was free. Outside the courthouse, Ethan caught my arm. Charlotte, wait, I know I have no right to ask, but... The baby. Will I ever... I met his gaze, seeing the broken man before me. In that moment, I made a decision that surprised even me. You're still this child's father, Ethan, I said. If you can prove to me that you've changed, really changed, then yes, you can be part of their life. But it has to be on my terms. Relief washed over his face. "Thank you," he whispered. "I promise I'll do whatever it takes." As Ethan walked away, Olivia appeared at my side. "You okay?" I nodded, a small smile tugging at my lips. "Yeah, I think I am." That night, as I sat on my balcony watching the sunset, I felt a flutter in my belly. My hand flew to the spot, tears springing to my eyes as I felt my baby kick for the first time. In that moment, everything crystallized. The pain, the betrayal, the heartache, it had all led me here, to this moment of pure, unadulterated joy. I thought about the journey ahead, single motherhood, building my business, maybe even finding love again someday. It wouldn't be easy, but I was ready to face whatever life threw at me, on my own terms. As the last rays of sunlight painted the sky, I made a promise to myself and to my unborn child. We would build a life filled with love, honesty, and strength. A life where we never compromised our happiness for anyone else's mistakes. The future stretched out before me, uncertain but full of possibility, and for the first time in a long time, I felt truly, completely free. I placed both hands on my belly, smiling through my tears. "It's just you and me, little one," I whispered, "and we're going to be just fine." As night fell, I stepped back inside, closing the door on my old life and embracing the new one waiting to begin. Whatever challenges lay ahead, I knew one thing for certain: I was ready to face them, stronger and more resilient than ever before.